You could have been someone, not just someone, the one. The one who rose when the world stayed asleep. The one who built something while others consumed. The one who walked into the storm, not away from it. But you didn't. You chose comfort. You chose excuses. You chose your distractions, your dopamine, over your destiny. And now, here you are, sitting in a body that isn't forged in discipline, living in a life that isn't shaped by sacrifice, staring at screens, wasting time, lying to yourself like that could ever be enough. You've convinced yourself that mediocrity is acceptable, that your parents' struggle was just so you could scroll, that your ancestors survived war, famine, and bloodshed, so you could chase meaningless pleasure and call it peace. You are surrounded by comfort, but you are rotting in it. Let me be clear. You are not tired. You are not broken. You are undisciplined. And in a world where the undisciplined get devoured, you are prey, walking proudly into the jaws of fate. There is a version of you that trains when he's tired, works when he's uninspired, builds when others break. That version of you is waiting, but he won't wait forever. Every day, you don't become him. You feed the version of yourself who dies forgotten. The universe will not hand you success. It will test your resolve. It will tempt you with distractions. It will offer you shortcuts and then punish you for taking them. And in that crucible of pain, only the ones who persist with relentless consistency survive. Not the talented, not the lucky, the disciplined. You say you want freedom, then bleed for it. You say you want to be a king, then suffer like one. Because greatness isn't given, it's taken, carved from the bones of your old self, and buried beneath every excuse you kill. So ask yourself, how much longer will you lie to yourself? How much longer will you trade your potential for pleasure? Because you don't need more motivation. You need a mirror, a plan, and the guts to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. This is your war, and the only way out is through. Lesson 1. Discipline over motivation. They keep asking the wrong question. How do I stay motivated? As if that was ever the secret. As if the strongest men who built empires, the warriors who bled in silence, the legends who left marks that outlasted death, woke up every morning smiling with inspiration. They didn't, and neither will you. Because motivation is a lie. It is a fair weather friend. It shows up when life is sunny and bails the moment it storms. The truth? You will not feel like doing the work most days. You will not want to train when you're exhausted. You will not feel excited when the results are slow. You will not be inspired when everything falls apart. And if you're relying on feeling good to act strong, then you're already dead. Let that sink in. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Motivation asks how you feel. Discipline doesn't care. Motivation is a child begging for comfort. Discipline is a warrior charging through hell. Discipline doesn't show up with music and fireworks. It arrives in silence, unnoticed, uncelebrated. It's what gets you out of bed when your body screams no. It's what drives your hands to build when your mind says, just rest. It's what drags you into the storm because your bloodline demands it. That's the kind of man the world bows to. The man who doesn't need to feel ready. The man who doesn't chase a spark. The man who does what must be done. Because he said he would. Because it is his duty to God. Because it is his responsibility to his bloodline. Because it is who he is. You want to rise? Then kill your craving for motivation. Forget inspiration. Burn it. Instead, build the iron muscle of discipline. Discipline is your sword. Discipline is your armor. Discipline is your torch in the darkness, and the only thing keeping you from being just another ghost in the crowd. Your problem isn't that you lack motivation. Your problem is that you've let emotions run your life. You do what feels good instead of what is required. But kings aren't built that way. Warriors aren't built that way. Legends aren't built that way. They're built in silence, in pain, in repetition, in monotony, in doing the same unglamorous work every single day until the world finally bends to their will. If you can't force yourself to act when you don't want to, you will never escape the cage you're in. The world doesn't need another dreamer. It needs someone willing to bleed for something real. So stop waiting for a feeling. Wake up and choose discipline. Every single day. Because motivation fades, but discipline builds empires. Lesson 2. Consistency is unbeatable. You want to know the difference between the forgotten and the feared? It's not brilliance. It's not talent. It's not even luck. It's this. One showed up every single day, and the other didn't. That's the cruel truth. You don't need to be extraordinary, just relentlessly consistent. Consistency is the assassin of doubt. It's the slow, merciless killer of mediocrity. And the terrifying part? Most of you will never make it. Not because you're weak, but because you can't keep going when no one's watching. Because you only know how to move when it's exciting. That's not power. That's childish. That's a dopamine addict pretending to be a builder. The real ones. The dangerous ones. They don't need a reason to show up. They show up because they swore an oath to themselves. Every single day. No matter how they feel. No matter if it's raining, if they're sick, if they're broken, if they're tired, if the world is crumbling around them. They show up. And while you were waiting to feel ready, they were building something unstoppable. While you were debating whether to start, they were stacking bricks until it became a fortress. You don't see their name in lights yet? Good. Because while you were distracted, they were grinding in the shadows. That's how real power is born. In quiet repetition. In deliberate war. In brutal, beautiful boredom. You think the greats loved every minute of it? No. They hated it. They hated the repetition. They hated the isolation. But they loved who they were becoming more than they hated the process. That's the secret. You'll never win if you only show up when it's convenient. You'll never rise if your habits fall apart the moment things get hard. Consistency is the trait of gods. It doesn't ask for recognition. It doesn't care if the crowd is clapping. It doesn't care if the results are instant. It just keeps going. Day after day. Hour after hour. Brick by painful brick. Because the consistent man, the one who pushes when he has nothing left, the one who works when no one's watching, the one who trains even when he's already ahead. He doesn't compete anymore. He dominates. And eventually, the world notices. Not on day 1, not on week 5, but after a decade of showing up while everyone else quit. So, here's your choice. You can be the one who dabbles, the one who works hard sometimes, the one who talks about dreams but never builds them. Or, you can be the one who never misses a day, the one who earns his transformation, the one who becomes unstoppable through sheer, unrelenting repetition. Consistency is the great equalizer. It's how average men become giants. So be the one who doesn't flinch. Be the one who doesn't rest. Be the one who doesn't break, because he's too damn consistent to fall apart. Show up every day, no matter what, because consistency doesn't care about feelings. It only creates champions. Lesson 3. Failure is usually self-inflicted. Let's stop pretending. You didn't fail because life is unfair. You didn't fail because the system is rigged. You didn't fail because of your parents, your city, your ex, your boss, or your past. You failed because you didn't do the work. You failed because you lied to yourself. You failed because you were comfortable enough to stay losing. Harsh? Good. Because someone needs to tell you the truth before you rot in regret. You want to know why you're not where you want to be? Because you did this to yourself. You gave into weakness. You fed your laziness like it was royalty. You silenced the voice that screamed, "Get up," and listened to the one that whispered, "It's fine. Tomorrow." But tomorrow never came, did it? You weren't unlucky. You were undisciplined. You weren't denied. You just quit. And the most disturbing part? You knew you were doing it. Every scroll, every skipped rep, every excuse. You knew. You knew exactly what it was costing you. You just didn't care enough to stop. That's what makes it worse. You weren't blind. You were willfully blind. And now you want to cry foul? Now you want to act like the victim? No. Because deep down, you know this truth. You are exactly where you deserve to be. And before your ego lashes out in defense, ask yourself this. If your current life, your bank account, your body, your mindset, was the result of someone else's actions, would you be proud? Would you admire the person who made these choices? Or would you pity them? That's the mirror you need to stare into. Not the one that shows your reflection, but the one that shows your consequences. Failure isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's the honest result of everything you chose not to do. You didn't study when you should have. You didn't build when the world was quiet. You didn't train when you had the time. You didn't move because you were too busy feeling sorry for yourself. And now you want sympathy? No. Sympathy is for the ones who tried and bled and still lost. You didn't even step into the ring. You watched from the sidelines, telling yourself lies like, "It's not the right time," or "I'll start when I'm ready," as if greatness waits for your permission. It doesn't. And the clock doesn't care. Every day you stall is a day you dig your own grave, not with a shovel, but with wasted hours, dead dreams, and a legacy of nothing. But here's the beauty in all this darkness. If you did this to yourself, then you have the power to undo it. If you were the villain in your own story, you can become the redeemer. But it starts with one thing: radical self-accountability. No more blaming, no more complaining, no more illusions, just raw truth and action. You want to stop failing? Then stop feeding the very habits that built your failure. Burn them down. Replace them with obsession, precision, and relentless execution. Or don't. And keep living in the slow agony of a life wasted by your own hands. Because failure isn't some external curse. It's you. It's always been you. But so is greatness. And you'll meet one of them. The choice is still yours. Lesson 4. Pain and suffering are part of growth. They lied to you. They told you success should feel good, that happiness was the path, that if it hurts, it must be wrong. No. Pain is the price. Suffering is the process. And if you can't endure it, you'll never taste power. Every inch of growth is purchased in agony. There is no becoming without breaking, no strength without struggle, no transformation without torment. You don't build a warrior in comfort. You build him in fire. Every scar, every sleepless night, every lonely grind is a hammer strike on the anvil of greatness. You say you want to change. Then brace yourself, because change is violence. It is the destruction of everything soft, safe, and familiar inside of you. And most won't survive it, because they'd rather stay numb than get real. But not you. Not if you're still reading. Not if something inside you is waking up. Because deep down, you know the truth. The pain isn't the enemy. It's the test. The suffering isn't trying to destroy you. It's revealing what you're made of. It's asking, will you quit? Will you fold? Or will you rise in the flames, bleeding and broken, but unbowed? You want a breakthrough? Then prepare to be broken first. The universe doesn't hand out greatness. It grinds it out of you, bone by bone, hour by hour. You want to be free? Then suffer for it. You want to be feared? Then bleed for it. You want to be remembered? Then endure what others run from, because pain is the door, and suffering is the key. Only those willing to walk through both will ever escape mediocrity. Look at any beast, any king, any giant. You'll find torment in their past, loss, rejection, betrayal, isolation, doubt. They didn't become who they are in spite of those things. They became who they are because of them. That's the dark secret no one wants to hear. You want your mind sharper? Then break it. You want your body stronger? Then punish it. You want your will ironclad? Then test it under pressure. Again, and again, and again. Because there is no shortcut. There is no hack. There is no gentle path to power. The road is long. It is cold. And it will take everything from you before it gives you anything. But here's the beauty. When it breaks you, and you choose to rebuild. When it cuts you, and you choose to keep fighting. When it shatters your illusion, and you choose discipline over despair. You don't just grow. You become untouchable, unbreakable, unstoppable. You become you, the real you. The version that's been buried beneath years of comfort, weakness, and lies. So the next time it hurts, remember, this is the forge. Every second of suffering is an invitation to rise, to become more, to shed the skin of who you were, and step into who you were born to be. But only if you choose to smile through the pain and keep moving forward. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Lesson 5. Quitters will never win. Let's get one thing clear. Quitters are cursed. Not by fate, not by bad luck, but by their own hands. Because they surrendered when it mattered most. You want to know why you don't have the life you dream of? Because when it started to hurt, you backed down. When it got uncomfortable, you retreated. When the reward took longer than expected, you folded. And here's the bitter truth you've been avoiding. The thing you were chasing was right around the corner. But you'll never know now, because you quit. That's what makes quitting so deadly. It's not just that you fail. It's that you never get to see who you could have been. Understand this. The path to greatness is designed to break you. That's the point. It weeds out the weak. It filters out the fakes. It separates the tourists from the conquerors. And the test is always the same. How bad do you want it when nothing is going your way? It's easy to be all in when the sun's shining. It's easy to work hard when results are pouring in. But when you're tired, broke, misunderstood, and alone, that's when the war begins. And most of you won't last. Because quitting has become your default. Every job that got hard, you left. Every routine that required consistency, you broke. Every time things didn't go your way, you backed out. But then you cry that life is unfair? No, life is precise. It gives to the obsessed. It punishes the weak. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how inspired you feel. If you can't endure the dry seasons, the long nights, the silence, the delay, the doubt, then you'll never taste the victory. You know what's worse than losing? Stopping before you even gave it everything. Because that regret, it stays. It haunts. It eats you alive at night when no one's watching. That whisper in the back of your mind. You could have won, if only you stayed in the fight. But now you'll never know. And if that doesn't burn you, then you were never serious. The world does not reward dabblers. It doesn't pay tourists. It bows only to the few who refuse to quit when quitting feels justified. You could give a quitter the map, the treasure, and the key, and they'd still find a reason to turn back. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. It's taking too long. This isn't fair. Pathetic. There is no excuse worthy of your dreams. There is no circumstance strong enough to justify surrender. If you're still breathing, you're still capable. You think the gods of success honor half effort? You think legacies are built on good intentions? No. They're built on relentless, ruthless, unforgiving persistence. You want to win? Then understand this. There is no plan B. Burn the boats. Kill the fallback plan. Swear the oath to yourself and never break it. You do not quit. You do not bend. You do not crumble just because it's hard. You stare the storm in the face and say, "You're going to have to kill me to stop me." And when that's your mindset, the world gets out of your way because it knows this one won't be broken. So decide now, because every time you quit, you bury the real you deeper. And every time you keep going, you resurrect the warrior you were born to become. Quitting is the disease. Discipline is the cure. And the cure comes at a price. Blood, time, and everything you've got. So pay it, or die wondering what might have been. Lesson 6. You are wasting potential. There's a version of you that you haven't even met yet. A version forged in discipline, refined through sacrifice, crowned in victory. But you'll never become him, because you're too damn comfortable wasting who you are now. Let's not pretend. You feel it, don't you? The weight, the gnawing voice, the pressure in your chest. That deep-rooted knowing that you could be more. But you're not. Because every time your future self reaches out a hand, you slap it away with distraction, with comfort, with excuses. You trade greatness for comfort like a junkie chasing their next hit of dopamine. And here's what should terrify you. You could have been legendary. You could have transformed. You could have led, built, conquered. But you've pissed away years of opportunity. Years. And for what? Cheap highs, useless scrolling, a few extra hours of sleep, temporary pleasures that left you emptier than before. You weren't born average, but you trained yourself to settle. You taught yourself how to delay dreams, how to justify stagnation, how to numb your own conscience with delusion. But here's the truth. Wasted potential is one of the greatest crimes a man can commit. Because it's not just about you. It's about every life you could have impacted. Every bloodline you could have restored. Every soul you could have let out of the dark. But instead, you chose mediocrity. You chose numbness. You chose to watch instead of act, to react instead of lead, to exist instead of live. And now, that version of you, the elite, disciplined, unstoppable version, he watches you with disgust. Because he knows you had the tools. He knows you had the time. He knows you had the chance. And you spat on it. But here's the part that should burn the deepest. He's still there, waiting, buried under layers of weakness, laziness, and fear. Not dead, just ignored. And every day you don't act, he dies a little more. You say you want to change, but let me ask you something. Are you willing to kill the weaker version of yourself to become him? Because that's what it takes. It takes sacrificing who you are now to become who you were meant to be. No more someday. No more I'll start tomorrow. No more I'm trying. Trying is what cowards say to feel better about doing nothing. You either do the work or you don't. You either build yourself or you crumble. You think your potential doesn't come with a price? You think the universe will hand you glory just because you want it? No. It will test you. It will bury you. It will burn you down. To see if you have the guts to rise from your own ashes. And most won't. Because it's easier to pretend you're doing okay. Easier to lie to yourself than face the shame of what you've become. But you're not okay. You know it. I know it. And the man you were born to be is screaming at you from within, begging you to wake up. This is your wake-up call. You've wasted enough time, enough days, enough chances. No more potential left on the table. No more versions of yourself left unexplored. You are not meant to live and die as a footnote in history. You are meant to dominate, to lead, to create a ripple so powerful it echoes for generations. But none of that happens until you accept this simple truth. You're wasting who you are, and only you can stop it. Get up, shut out the noise, get disciplined, and begin the war with yourself. Because your potential isn't going to wait forever. Lesson 7. Your ancestors would be ashamed. Look around you. Soft chairs, soft food, soft distractions, and a soft man sitting at the center of it all. You, scrolling through life, watching others live while your legacy crumbles. You, hiding behind comfort, afraid of effort, afraid of pain, afraid of your own potential. And if you think that doesn't matter, you've already dishonored your bloodline. You weren't the first, you were the latest. There were men before you, real men, warriors, builders, survivors. They faced starvation. They endured war. They buried their children in the cold ground and still pressed forward. They bled so that your heart could beat in peace. And what did you do with that peace? You used it to jack off, to complain, to watch TikTok videos and wait for motivation to find you. You squandered the gift they died to give you. Let that sit in your bones. Your great-grandfather marched through hell with frost-bitten feet, so you could wake up and decide you're too tired to work out. Your ancestors toiled with broken backs and blistered hands, so you could skip your calling to chase instant pleasure. They fought wolves, kings, empires, and tyrants. And now you lose battles to laziness, to fast food, to your own emotions. You were supposed to be the next great chapter in your family's story. Instead, you've become the comma. A forgettable pause between men of greatness. And if they could see you now, they'd spit at your feet. They'd turn their backs. They'd ask the heavens why all their pain ended in this question mark. This soft, cowardly, overstimulated man who talks big and delivers nothing. This excuse-filled vessel who breaks under pressure. This diluted soul who chases pleasure while his legacy suffocates. You were supposed to carry the torch. Instead, you're drowning in shadows. This isn't just about your goals. It's about your blood, your lineage, your obligation. They didn't fight so you could coast. They didn't survive so you could complain. They endured so you could conquer. So what the hell are you doing? You think your name is just yours? You think your life belongs to just you? No. You are the tip of a spear thrown through generations. And that weapon was meant to pierce the future, not fall flat in the mud. You owe them, not with words, not with tears, but with action. You want to honor their pain? Then earn your breath. Make every rep, every dollar, every step, a middle finger to weakness and a salute to their sacrifice. Because here's what no one tells you. If you fail to rise, you won't just dishonor your past. You'll curse your future. You'll pass down softness like a disease. You'll raise sons who bow to mediocrity. You'll raise daughters who never knew the protection of a real man. And that's on you. Your ancestors gave you a name. Your children will judge what you did with it. So rise. Not for applause, not for likes, but because you are part of something bigger than yourself. Because deep in your DNA are the screams of warriors, kings, hunters, and rebels, begging you to remember who you are. So wake the hell up. You carry the weight of their dreams, and your time is running out. Be the ancestor they would have followed. Be the man your sons can look to when the world falls apart. Be the storm that redeems your entire bloodline. Or don't. And become just another forgettable chapter in a story that was supposed to be epic. Lesson 8. Effort is a muscle. You think success is about talent? No, it's about force. Applied, repeatedly, relentlessly. Effort, unsexy, unfiltered, unforgiving effort, is what separates the powerful from the pitiful. But you wouldn't know that. Because every time it starts to burn, you pull back. Every time the weight gets heavy, you put it down. Every time discipline whispers, one more, you say, that's enough. And that's why you're still stuck. Because your effort muscle is weak, atrophied, undeveloped. You've conditioned yourself to fold instead of fight, to coast instead of commit, to seek comfort instead of collision. But here's the truth. No one told you. Effort is a skill, a weapon, a discipline that grows only through suffering. The same way muscle fibers tear and rebuild under resistance, your capacity for effort only expands when you're under pressure. When you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway. Every time you force yourself forward when it's hard, you're not just getting closer to your goals, you're becoming more powerful. Effort compounds, not just in results, but in who you become. Because the man who's trained himself to push when he's tired, to focus when he's overwhelmed, to execute when everything inside him screams, stop, that man becomes unstoppable. And it doesn't take motivation. It takes rep after rep of doing hard things on purpose. You think effort is a one-time decision? No. Effort is a daily war. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset that says, I don't give a damn how I feel. I move anyway. I don't care how long it takes. I'm staying in the fight. I'm not here to survive. I'm here to dominate. But here's the brutal part. If you don't train this muscle, life will bury you under every challenge you face. You'll start strong and finish nothing. You'll dream big and execute small. You'll talk like a warrior, but live like a ghost. And you'll hate yourself for it, because you'll know, deep down, that all you ever needed was to try harder. Not once, not twice, but over and over and over again, until effort becomes instinct, until effort becomes who you are. You know why most people never change? Because when their plan fails, their effort dies with it. But the elite, they adapt, they pivot, they recalibrate. But the effort stays the same. You can switch your method, you can switch your goal, but never, never switch off the effort. You want to win? Then build that muscle like your life depends on it. Because it does. It will be effort that wakes you up when the alarm goes off. It will be effort that drives you through rejection, failure, and fatigue. It will be effort that makes you unbreakable when the storm hits. And the man who masters effort, he doesn't need motivation. He doesn't need shortcuts. He doesn't need pity, because he's trained his will to go further than anyone expects. And that's how you win. Not by being the best, but by pushing harder, longer, and with more fire than anyone else will. So stop asking how. Stop whining that it's hard. Stop quitting halfway through the rep. Start pushing. Start bleeding. Start building. Because effort is the only thing you truly own, and the only thing the world can never take from you. If you can't use it, you don't deserve anything. Lesson 9. You must want it badly. Let's stop lying. You say you want it. Success, freedom, respect, power. But do you really? Because wanting something doesn't mean wishing for it. It doesn't mean writing it down in a notebook. It doesn't mean posting some motivational quote and calling it ambition. No. Wanting it means bleeding for it. If you really wanted it, you'd already be on fire. You'd be waking up early, staying up late, breaking your limits, smashing your excuses. You'd be devouring books, mastering skills, chasing opportunity like a starving wolf. But you're not. Because the truth is, you don't want it badly enough. If you did, you wouldn't be negotiating with your alarm clock. You wouldn't be skipping reps. You wouldn't be telling yourself, just one more scroll, or I'll start tomorrow. If you wanted it, really wanted it, you'd move like your life depended on it. Because it does. Every second you delay, someone else is out there grinding, building the life you're pretending to want. And when the dust settles, they'll have it. Not because they were better, but because they were hungrier. You think desire is some fluffy feeling? No. Desire is war. It's a fire that consumes everything soft and weak inside of you. It's the voice that says, I will die before I go back to who I used to be. It's the obsession that drowns out distractions, excuses, and doubt. You don't get what you kind of want. You get what you can't live without. If I held a gun to your child's head and said, you make $1 million or they die, you'd become the most productive, savage version of yourself in seconds. Why? Because your survival instincts would activate. You'd move like a demon with a purpose. You wouldn't care how tired you were. You wouldn't care about rejection, failure, or setbacks. You wouldn't wait for motivation. You'd just move. So what's the difference? That imaginary gun made you want it badly enough. So ask yourself, why haven't you created that level of urgency around your own dreams? Why are you letting the clock run out on a life that could have been extraordinary? Here's the hard truth. If you're not obsessed with winning, you're preparing to lose. Because the world does not reward lukewarm effort. It only honors the relentless, the possessed, the obsessed, The ones who don't dabble, the ones who don't pause, the ones who grip their goal with bloodied hands and refuse to let go, no matter how long it takes. This isn't about talent. It's not about intelligence. It's about hunger. You either want it more than your excuses, more than your distractions, more than your comfort, or you don't want it at all. There's no in-between. So stop telling yourself you're trying. Stop pretending you're working on it. If you're not moving with obsession, you're not even in the game. You want to change your life? Get hungry. Get desperate. Get to the point where not making it hurts more than grinding for it. Because until your desire becomes a need, until your dreams become oxygen, until success becomes a non-negotiable reality, you will stay stuck, and you'll die with regret. So the only question left is this: how bad do you want it? Because if the answer isn't more than anything, then prepare to get nothing. You've heard it all now. Discipline over motivation, consistency over talent, truth over lies, action over comfort. And yet, most will walk away unchanged. They'll nod, they'll agree, and they'll do nothing, because that's how mediocrity survives. It convinces you that listening is the same as acting, that understanding is the same as doing, that someday still has time. But here's what you now know, what you can never unknow. If you don't build discipline, your dreams will rot while you wait to feel ready. If you don't become consistent, you'll be crushed by men with less talent, but more grit. If you don't take ownership of your failures, you'll live in a prison of your own making, blaming shadows. If you don't embrace pain, you'll never grow. You'll never transform. You'll never become worthy of respect. If you keep quitting, you'll never know who you could have been. That version of you will die waiting. And if you keep wasting your potential, your life will serve as a warning sign to others, not a source of inspiration. Worst of all, your ancestors will weep at your weakness. They didn't endure war, famine, exile, bloodshed, heartbreak, and death. So you could scroll, so you could sleep in, so you could jerk off your potential and pretend it wasn't your fault. No. They bled so you could build. They suffered so you could rise. They died so you could win. But you don't win with good intentions. You win with effort. Relentless. Repetitive. Ruthless. Effort when you're tired. Effort when you're lost. Effort when nothing makes sense. Because effort is a muscle, and most of you have let it waste away to nothing. But not anymore. Not if you're serious. Not if something inside you is burning. Not if you finally had enough of being average in a life that demands greatness. So here it is. No more I'll try. No more excuses. No more lies. Just war. Internal war. A war against laziness, arrogance, softness, distraction. A war against the weaker version of you that's been steering your life into the gutter. Because you weren't made for mediocrity. You weren't made to be another nameless soul buried beneath regrets. You were made for glory, for legacy, for bloodline redemption. But none of it matters unless you move now. No one's coming to save you. There is no more time. There is no better moment than this one. So pick your weapon, discipline, pick your armor, consistency, and step into the fire. Earn your transformation, or stay soft and die forgotten. The world doesn't care what you say. It only remembers what you build.